It's happening, gang. The legacy media is finally admitting it. Trumpism has won. Trumpism is rewriting not just America. It's rewriting the whole of the continent of Europe as well. There's no more denying it. And I'm going to show you exactly why. And it's happening in ways no one ever imagined. Remember when Elon and Doge were gutting USAID and European elites were screaming about it? How dare you? How dare you? You remember that? You are not going to believe what just happened. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, enjoying yet another glorious day in the Trumpian golden age that you made possible back in November 2024. So if you want a front row seat on how you continue to change the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. And you are indeed changing the world. Something is happening in Europe like we never could have imagined. I mean, just literally months ago. Take a look at the latest poll coming out of the nation of Germany. The AfD, the Alternative for Deutschland, for the very first time ever, they've topped a Berlin state election poll. Remember, Berlin is both a city and a state in Germany. For the very first time, according to a July INSA survey, they are the number one party in Berlin state, ahead of even Chancellor Friedrich Merz's CDU party and their far left party, Die Linke, which means literally the left. They're over the Greens or over the Social Democrats. Now, why this poll is so huge is because Berlin, the state of Berlin, has been governed by leftist parties almost continuously since 2001. It's one of the most liberal regions in Germany. And the result obviously signals AfD's growing appeal beyond its traditional Eastern German strongholds. It was a bombshell poll, especially given the fact that Germany's leftist globalists have been trying to ban the AfD from politics altogether. But it appears there's no stopping them. Nationally, the AfD are absolutely crushing it. They're now leading the center-right CDU by a near 10-point margin nationally. This was absolutely unimaginable literally months ago. Elon Musk has often stated that the AfD is Germany's only hope. Well, it looks like he and Germans all across their nation are going to get their wish. The unthinkable really is happening. A party that's barely 10 years old is on course to win the majority of seats in the Bundestag, the German parliament, in their next national elections. And it's not just Germany. France tells a strikingly similar story. Marine Le Pen and her party National Rally have been surging in the polls. In fact, she and National Rally are clear front runners for the 2027 presidential elections. So, of course, what were French and European establishment elite determined to do? They banned her from running. Literally banned her. They convicted her of these ridiculous sham charges. Sound familiar? And then they banned her from holding public office for 5 years, which appeared to end her presidential ambitions before 2027 even starts. But alas, she won on appeal. The ban was removed, and she's now poised to be the next president of France. It's amazing stuff. In Britain, Reform UK, led by Nigel Farage, gained more than 1,200 council seats in local elections this past May, while Labour lost nearly 1,000. A collapse one veteran Labour lawmaker, called the worst his party had seen in 60 years. That collapse, of course, forced out Prime Minister Keir Starmer entirely, with a brand new Labour leader just taking power, now facing a reform movement, still leading national polling by a wide margin. Now, this kind of political volatility in Britain, interrupting their two-party system with Reform UK, can be seen by the fact that Britain has now cycled through seven prime ministers in barely a decade. And we could go on and on. Giorgia Meloni in Italy, Geert Wilders in the Netherlands, Jimmie Åkesson in Sweden. They're all rising due to the same underlying current surfacing all throughout Europe. And that is the rise of civilizational populism. If you've been part of this channel for a while now, and if not, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. But you'll know this term Very well. We talk about it all the time. This is what Trumpism really is all about. It's civilizational populism, and it's the new politics that's redefining the world. Civilizational populism involves ordinary people, right? What Elon will call the normal people, waking up to the fact that their leaders, their political establishment, governs according to their own elitist values, interests, and concerns, which are completely alienated from the values, interests, and concerns of the people. And what are those concerns of the people? Well, they want their borders secured. They want manufacturing and industry returned home. And they want their own unique cultures, customs, and traditions celebrated and revered and embraced. And what are the elites' concerns? Well, they want open borders to import cheap labor. They want manufacturing and industry exported to the global south for cheap goods. And then they want to recast a nation's culture, customs, and traditions as racist, bigoted, and phobic so as to make room for this massive demographic change. We're having this demographic change because we ought to, because this culture is something that should not be kept. Europeans, like Americans, have had it with this globalist elite. They want nothing to do with them increasingly. And so a growing number of voters are recognizing that we, the people, are the only ones who are going to save our countries. That's civilizational populism. It's the people who alone are going to be the ones to defend and protect their cultures, customs, and traditions. Certainly the elite will not. And we're seeing this civilization's populist sentiment everywhere. Take a look at this. This is the opposite side of it. Take a look at what recently happened to Spain's socialist president, Pedro Sanchez's car. It was pelted by eggs. Sanchez is widely seen as one of the most hated men in Spain, and rightly deserved, by the way. In their last national election, his government was voted out. Spaniards wanted to change, but no party had an outright majority. So he finagled the parliamentary system and he formed a coalition with the Catalan separatist party. And that kept him in power. For now, just weeks ago, Spain's Andalusia regional election delivered a historic blow to Sanchez's Socialist Party. They suffered their worst ever result in a region that they had dominated for nearly 4 decades. It was the Socialists' 4th consecutive regional election loss ahead of Spain's 2027 general vote. The so-called far-right Vox Party, what Elon would simply call normal people party, they've been absolutely surging throughout Spain. They posted their best numbers ever in that Andalusia election, and they're only going to continue to grow if that pattern that we've been seeing throughout Europe, the civilization's populist pattern, holds as well in Spain, which it should. But this is nothing. This is literally nothing. Europe is following Trump in ways that are shocking the legacy media speechless and proving that the days of the globalist elite are officially over. Wait until you see this. One of the most important things you can do for your home and your family is be prepared before an emergency ever happens. Because when something goes wrong, when a fire starts, the last thing you want to be doing is scrambling for some complicated solution. In moments like that, you need something simple, fast, practical, and ready to go. And that's exactly what I want to tell you about the Sierra Madre fire blanket. Now, what I love about this is just how easy it is to use. You simply pull it out using these straps, and then you unfold it. I'm not going to unfold everything. It's pretty big, but you get it. And then you place it over the flames. And that's it. No complicated instructions, no special training, right? No pressure gauges to check, no chemicals, no maintenance, and no complicated operation. It's lightweight, it's easy to carry, and it's compact enough to keep close by without taking up a bunch of space. And that makes it especially valuable in the kitchen, where so many household fires start. But it's not just for your kitchen. You can keep one in your car, your RV, your camper, your boat, in your emergency kit next to the barbecue. In other words, it's one of those simple tools that gives you real peace of mind wherever life takes you. The Sierra Madre fire blanket is made from 100% fiberglass fabric, and it works by cutting off oxygen to the flames. No charging, no batteries, no waiting. It's always ready whenever you need it. So if you're looking for a simple, practical way to add another layer of protection for your home, your vehicle, and the people you love most, check out the Sierra Madre Fire Blanket today. It's a small thing to keep on hand, but in the moment you need it, it can make all the difference. Click the link below to get yours today.
Let's be practical. In many of these countries, USAID was the biggest funder, but I don't want to have an argument.
USAID was a political organization.
It may also have been that, but it was the biggest funder of healthcare systems. So I'm very
biggest
sure that there was
funder of regime change.
And there may well be benefits from having changed the system.
USAID funding was not stopped. It was moved to the State Department.
It was stopped. There were huge numbers of things shut down in Africa that were
No, there were
health-related.
claims of this. These claims are false. They're nonsense, and absolute nonsense. But obviously, just for when funding is stopped for fraudulent organizations or for something, do you think they're going to say, well, please keep funding the fraud? Or do you think they're going to come up with a sad story that sounds sympathetic in order to get the funding restored? Obviously, it will be the latter, and that's exactly what they did.
So many of you, I'm sure, saw that. That was Elon being interviewed by the insufferable editor-in-chief of the British rag, The Economist. It's a defender of all things liberal globalists. And what you just saw in that exchange was the European elitist nonsense, as Elon called it, screaming and yelling at the Trump administration and Doge in particular for defunding USAID. Well, guess what, gang? Guess what Europe is doing? Despite all the grandstanding, Europe is cutting their own versions of USAID. You cannot make this stuff up. Even Newsweek is coming out calling European governments the ultimate hypocrites. European governments are quietly making nearly identical cuts of their own. So while EU officials boast of being the world's #1 humanitarian donor, giving over 1.9 billion euros this year, the underlying data tells a very, very different story. EU institutions' official development assistance actually fell 14% in 2025, with aid to sub-Saharan Africa and the world's poorest countries dropping by more than a fifth. The OECD's preliminary 2025 data showed global development assistance fell 23% overall, the largest annual contraction on record. And while the U.S. drove 3/4 of that drop by slashing its own aid 60%, Europe wasn't far behind. That's despite all that grandstanding you just heard. Germany cut aid by 17%, France cut it by 11%, UK cut it by 11%, with even steeper cuts from Czechia, 28%, Ireland at 23%, Belgium at 22%. EU member states now spend an average of just 0.4% of gross national income on foreign aid, well below the UN's 1% target. And the OECD projects a further 7% decline in this year alone, a third consecutive year of decline, something that's only happened once before, and that's just after the Soviet Union fell. And where's the money going? Here's the best part. Where's the money going? Again, you won't believe it. European governments are redirecting those funds toward defense spending, just like Trump told them to do. The UK is cutting its aid target to 0.3% of gross national income by 2027, specifically to free up billions for its own military, while Germany's humanitarian budget has already been halved since 2024. All of that sound and fury that you just heard accusing Elon of starving kids in Africa, how dare you? It's all being reciprocated by Europe, and largely because Trump ordered them to do so. So Trumpism is spreading throughout Europe in more ways than one, whether by way of the rise of civilizational populism or by way of their own USAID-like cuts to bolster their militaries. It does appear that Trumpism has indeed conquered the West, and there doesn't appear to be any sign of its stopping. If you want to understand what comes after globalism and be able to explain it to your kids, start with Civcosm. Tap the link, Get the book and see how faith, technology, and rising civilization states are reshaping the future your family will live in.